Hey classic TV fans, this is TV Crazy Man. It's time to look back at all the goofs and bloopers that I found in 2024. Some of which I found thanks to your comments, some through research, and others through just plain old hours of watching television. We'll look back at the goofs, mistakes, blunders, neat special effects that might have been visible on screen, and bloopers from your favorite TV shows. So let's all remember the past year of classic TV fun as we prepare for another year of goofs and fun facts.
You will remember nothing.
I am not incompetent. I know what I'm doing every minute.
14 years on Bonanza, it still hurts when I ride.
Will always get his just desserts.
Wake up!
All right. I forgot about that. Can you do that?
Over that way! We're still rolling. You're still rolling! Terrific!
Will in here never figures things like that out.
Hey, that's what you're supposed to be studying?
Second marker.
You know, sometimes you need a stuntman just to go through a door. And this fella is having a really bad day. First he loses a gunfight, and then they step on his hand. In this scene, Desi accidentally fell, but the audience loved it so much he decided to do it 2 more times on purpose. You know, I wonder how much fussing that Vivian Vance did after the scene was over. Barbara Billingsley, of course, played June Cleaver, everyone's idea of a perfect mom. But if you watch really closely, you can see how even a perfect mom can get hurt in the kitchen.
And a man. I don't think it'll happen again. And a man. I don't think it'll happen again. Just to make sure, I buttoned it in his shirt pocket personally. I don't think it'll happen again.
Here's an interesting goof from the Honeymooners. On the episode Better Living Through TV, Ralph is selling an all-purpose kitchen gadget. Part of the prop unexpectedly flies off, and Gleason, like the pro that he was, easily ad-libs it right into the show.
Maybe we ought to say something about spearfishing. Pow! Right in the kiss. Zip, zip. Finished.
According to what I've read, Gleason ad-libbed knocking over the set wall during filming this scene. Here's a fun goof from my recent Man from Atlantis video. So when they asked Patrick Duffy to throw the statue onto the ground, smashing it into bits, they hadn't considered the possibility that he might accidentally hit the camera as well. Well, everything worked out alright. At least he didn't break the camera.
Yeah, Pearl. Well, let me have it.
Ready?
What was that loud ringing noise?
In the episode, Jed plays Solomon. Granny knocks out Cousin Pearl. And you know, from the standpoint of an actor, it's really hard to play like you're knocked out when folks start moving the props right out from under you.
Body across it and we'll shoot from behind you. Change the door. Lift the table. Bring Pearl's body across it and we'll shoot from behind you.
Now here's a funny one from a serious moment on The Outer Limits. In the episode The Zanti Misfits, the military is in contact with this bug from space, and everyone is completely serious. I mean, deadly serious. Except one guy that has a hard time not cracking up after he hears the aliens talking.
They've lent though our lands tree of tree. They've lent though our lands tree of tree.
For some reason, I didn't really notice the guy to your left is about to crack up too. Someone pointed that out to me in the comments from my Outer Limits video. You know, I'm a little curious as to how somebody could come up with something so horrifying, but I probably don't want to know.
Now here's a highly charged dramatic scene from the NBC series Jag.
They're firing, damn it! Not at us! The chopper can stand down. Once it does, they're no longer a clear or present threat to... Ah! Anybody but somebody, I don't know what.
I have no idea what the rest of this scene is.
It's as clear as what? It's muddled as what it is. No, it's just...
You forgot to put it in the ski rack.
Why would I put 3 skis in the ski rack and leave the 3rd one laying there on the ground?
The 3rd one?
Why would I put 3 skis in the ski rack and leave the 3rd one laying there on the ground? Why would I put 3 skis in the skis? Why would I put the 3rd? Why would I put 3?
Stuff at the academy, maybe. I tell you what, if I could think of this next line, we could finish and go to the studio.
How many times have you wanted to peel an onion? Well, now you can't because Zenomatic won't. I blew it again. 1 second.
The hangout will be dreaded.
You know, they must have gotten their doors from the same place as Star Trek.
Yeah, well, I'm my own wife, and I don't happen to think that...
Pilot, there's people outside of the airplane. You're way too low.
What is the line exactly?
Well, you're certainly not your own wife, I'll tell you that.
Oh, well, I don't know what to say next, but it would be brilliant if I did.
Including your heads. Including your heads of Charlie.
Oh, that's what I said.
We're gathered here to put these two together. And some other stuff. Yeah.
Engage. No, don't engage. Energize. That's what we say in this room. Energize.
You want to know something funny? Get on the line.
On the Honeymooners, they didn't worry about bloopers. They just ad-libbed their way forward, and it made the acting very natural and very funny.
Brother Cramden, Brother Norton is a nut. There must be plenty of eligible applicants. Bowling bag ball. I mean a bowling ball bag. Not in the top hand drawer. I'll just turn it up full. Cook it twice the time. I'll just turn it up full. Cook it twice the time.
Now, how could it, you know who I mean, how could he?
When you win, then you always start yelling and screaming at me. When you win, then you always start yelling and screaming at me. Wish I could think of something to say to her.
I Love Lucy's second takes were rare as they wanted the audience reaction and the performances to be fresh, so they often filmed straight through minor dialogue bloopers. These bloopers either blend in or just add to the comedy as if they were scripted, such as the time Ricky was entertaining some of his Cuban pals and had to translate so Lucy could join in.
Certainly is nice.
Lucy quiere que le diga.
Desi forgets where he's at and repeats what Lucy says in English.
Lucy wants to know if you had it. Oh, fine. Lucy wants to know if you had it. Oh, fine.
Now some bloopers would slip right past you, like when Ricky says, they want us to meet us.
I wonder why they want us to meet us here at the apartment.
See, dear, the Mertzes don't get excited. There's nothing to get upset about. See, dear, the Mertzes don't get excited. There's nothing to get upset about.
Hey, Fred, I got a letter, Lucy. Goodbye.
Did Fred just call Ricky Lucy?
Hey, Fred, I got a letter, Lucy. Goodbye. Hey, Fred, I got a letter, Lucy. Goodbye. Alumni that comes back from the homecoming.
According to the I Love Lucy Season 3 DVD special features, many of Ricky's botched pronunciation jokes were scripted, but this one was an actual blooper.
Well, that's as close as I can get to that one. Anyway,
I guess you can dance just as well.
Lucy throws in an ad-lib line.
You're more nervous than
yes,
I am.
Yes, I know.
Yes, ma'am. Now, how much of the need? How much you could be? Ma'am, now how much of the need? How much you could be?
In this scene, Desi was so busy laughing that Lucy had to ad-lib a line just to remind him to answer the phone.
Ah.
Hey, the phone, honey.
Now here's a goof from the Alfred Hitchcock show that I thought was pretty good. Now don't you think it's always nice when a criminal type is trying to move a dead body around and the body helps out?
Think they're onto us?
I guess in space they don't have air guitar, they have air control panels. Or Starbuck has the ability to work the controls without touching anything.
Okay, Eddie. What are you pulling now?
On the episode, Eddie spends the night. What exactly is Eddie up to? It looks like he's trying to turn invisible handles or something.
Well, look, I'm putting the water in the sink.
Well, Eddie, it might help if you actually put your hands on the handles.
You're making this up. You got no proof.
So that he could threaten the people of this town. Not this town. It's a big town. It's our town.
Before everybody was using computers for special effects, sometimes the best effect was just a hidden crewman. That's why sometimes you can spot mysterious looking heads and hands popping up out of nowhere. It's really spooky sometimes, like this one from My Favorite Martian. In this scene from the episode How Are Things in Glock and Martin? Martin is invisible and getting out of Tim's car, but if you look in the back you can see somebody opening the door for Martin, which was really nice except for the hiding and the sneaking around part. In the episode Martin Meets His Match, we see a crew member that I suspect is responsible for making Martin's antenna work. Do you see him to the left staring up at Ray Walston? I think it's really neat how he disappears the exact second that Martin disappears.
I've been in nothing but trouble since I met you.
And I imagine that will continue.
Of course, Knight Rider had hands coming out every which way, from opening doors to driving the car. So even when you think Kid is driving himself, there's always some hands on the steering wheel. What is that?
It looks like a purple people eater to me.
Seems like the same hand that drives Kid also saves Michael from falling here. I wonder if it's Sting from the Addams Family. Could it be the same hand seen on the Andy Griffith Show years before that helped Andy and Barney with a horse? Check out the mysterious hand to your left that's petting Mr. Ed. Well, you know stars, they need constant attention.
Very funny.
What more could you possibly do to me?
You know, when dealing with animals on the screen, there's always got to be a trainer nearby, which is probably where this mysterious hand comes from. In the 70s and 80s, occasionally one camera would catch another camera and its crew filming a scene at the same time. Like this shot from T.J. Hooker, starring William Shatner. In this scene from Mr. Ed, when the horse gets pulled over for reckless driving, there's a lady looking on, and something tells me from her actions that she may have been an outsider that just happened to stumble upon the filming. I bet she probably thought she was on candid camera. In the movie Elf, there's another person that in this case really doesn't want to be filmed. At least that's what it looks like. Now here's one from Leave It to Beaver. On the episode, Beaver says goodbye. In a clip of the playground, someone forgot to tell this kid that he's not supposed to act like he's on camera. This next guy from the 90s TV series Sliders really cracks me up as he suddenly realizes he's in the shot and he tries to duck out of the way.
Better come on, Doc.
Got it.
Save it.
But in just a moment, Peter Vollmer will ply his...
I thought she was gone. Nag, nag, nag. Why don't you mind your own business?
Dummies and mannequins have a lot of uses in productions, from taking the place of a stuntman in a situation too dangerous for a human being, or just making it look like Ellie Mae Clampett is super strong. On the episode The Condemned, this invader gets thrown off a cliff and instantly becomes a crash test dummy before turning back into a human alien so he can disintegrate. On this episode of Wonder Woman, we have a man in an ape suit carrying a dummy who represents a man. In the McHale's Navy 1964 movie, a dummy takes the place of Captain Binghamton. This is one of those where a stuntman might have looked a little more realistic.
I could just scream.
Back in the day, they didn't always use stuntmen. Often they just used dummies to do falls, which were usually pretty noticeable. Like when this bad guy from the movie Lone Ranger in the City of Gold falls suddenly. Of course, at least he didn't scream like a girl before turning into a falling dummy like this guy from episode 2 of The Lone Ranger. It is a little confusing as to why they would dub in a woman screaming for this dude. The biggest tools of the trade back in the day for special effects scenes was good old-fashioned strings. In my search for Goofs over the last year, I found a lot of scenes where the wires were visible. Before CGI and computers, strings made us believe that spaceships like the one of My Favorite Martian could actually fly. Wires even made George Reeves fly as Superman in the 50s, until he fell one day and then other methods were required. After the last wire incident, it was up to special effects master Thal Simonson, known to most as Psi, to create a system that Reeves could fly without concern for his safety. Psi came up with the idea of a pan that would hold Reeves up and could be manipulated by a pole to make Reeves move around, and then they would just simply superimpose the background later. Most guys agree that Barbara Eden was a living doll on I Dream of Jeannie, but occasionally she literally was a doll. You see, sometimes they used dolls and action figures when they were doing Tony Nelson, of course, whenever they had to, shrink somebody down to size. This year's Worst Costume Award goes to this snot monster I found on the Outer Limits episode, The Mice. It makes this seahorse costume on Man from Atlantis look awesome.
You are what Elizabeth would call a fraud.
Ted Cassidy sure does pop up a lot on my videos, doesn't he? On the episode The Probe, they used the split screen technique to make common ordinary science tools look like giant equipment. But if you look carefully at the base, you can see that it's constantly moving up and down.
You are about to participate in a great adventure.
Now, growing up when I was a kid, I also liked news shows like Knight Rider, which was pretty awesome back in the day. In this jump from the episode Just My Bill, Kit's nose looks a little wobbly. I don't blame her for screaming. I found it a little upsetting myself.
No, any thoughts? No, but I'll think of something.
Now, one of the weirdest episodes I've reviewed this year had to be this one from Man from Atlantis, which also had the weirdest costumes and strangest people, I guess they were, that I've ever seen or heard of before. Well, Mark runs into these alien-looking mime guys who all have the same fashion sense. I mean, they wear white all day, every day. And to be honest, they sound a little like clucking chickens. And they walk like them, too. Of course, strangely enough, they remind me a little of John Travolta back in the day. I really like that song, Staying Alive. And I don't know, something about this scene reminds me of the Three Stooges. Another thing I thought they did was actually kind of interesting was to adapt either Mork's Nanu hand gesture or was it Spock's? The two were about the same, I guess. Some of these hand gestures are just not exactly alike. Props weren't always perfect, even for the great one, Jackie Gleason on the Honeymooners.
You're through! Will you help me out of here?
I think the Cramdens are so poor that they couldn't afford glass in their windows.
Box set.
You know, sometimes props work too well. I think this one bopped Jackie Gleason in the nose.
Box set. They really come out of there, don't they?
Check out how Jackie Gleason handles this scene where a backstage crew member was unable to stop the house phone buzzer noise in time. In the episode Head of the House, they faced a very stubborn door. First Alice comes in and it doesn't want to shut all the way. Then Carney exits and tries to slam it shut. Then right before another actor comes in, the door seems to magically shut on its own. Then that actor comes in and the door is open again. There's just some days when nothing seems to work right. Here's one from the 60s sci-fi TV series The Invaders. On the episode, The Prophet, an invader tries to run over David Vincent, who defends himself by firing upon the invader's car. I think they went a little overboard with the crack in the rear window of the car. The lines look a little too thick, and watch it as it actually moves up and down separate from the car itself.
What was that? David, what in the name of heaven?
You will remember nothing.
What was that? David, what in the name of heaven?
On Saturday morning TV superhero shows of the 70s, like Shazam and ISIS, they didn't often have enough money or time to worry about certain continuity issues. In the episode Spots of the Leopard, ISIS raises a light blue car in the air. Or is it red? No, it's blue. No, it must be red. Oh, I'm so confused. Remember the 1964 McHale's Navy movie? Now in the 1964 movie, it looks like there's a lot of blue screen technology that isn't quite working all the time. Check out the number 73. You can see the water is moving inside of it. Here Willie's arm is fading out, almost like he's a ghost. Remember that time on the 6 Million Man when they made a bionic robot duplicate of Oscar? I always thought it was cool when I was a kid how the robots in this show would seem so lifelike and human until they were destroyed and then they instantly turn into mannequins. Plastic. But the funny thing in this episode is that when Oscar picks up his robot duplicate's head, it looks lifelike again. From this to this. Believe it or not. In this one from Star Trek The Next Generation, Picard doesn't even know his own strength. Yes, young Picard could really pack a punch. So hard, in fact, it could knock a guy's hair clean off of his head. Now here's a special effects trick that's simple but effective.
Give me the rifle. Fine.
Did you catch the sleight of hand in this scene? You see, I think Superman cheated. I think he put the bullet in his own mouth. And now you know how they do the old catch the bullet in the mouth trick. Now here's an interesting prop goof from Gunsmoke. In the Christmas-themed episode Magnus, Dodge needed some snow, because it's Christmas. But the snow looks an awfully lot like soap to me, or something similar. You can see it sort of oozing down the side of the building here. It's all gooey and mushy. Whatever it is, it ain't snow. Now in this scene, Tonto's stunt double gets into a fight with a bad guy, and the fight gets so intense that the whole wall almost caves in. This next goof from Bonanza you have to see to believe. In the episode, The Last Viking, we get to see a big fight where this guy actually picks up a dude over his head and then throws a barrel, which becomes the other dude again in midair. It's really confusing. So what do you think? Do we file this under bizarre, unexplained, or unusual, or all the above?
Crazy, all of it's crazy.
Just like Barbara Eden on I Dream of Jeannie, Linda Carter was a living doll too. Literally. Well, maybe since Wonder Woman is a superhero, we should refer to them as action figures. I'm not sure about that. In the episode, The Deadly Toys, Wonder Woman is attacked by a flying toy airplane on wires. We probably missed the wires on our smaller screens back then, but what puzzles me is who does that hand belong to that's apparently handing her the airplane in the middle of the air? I wonder if this is Thing from the Addams Family. The worst tornado effect ever goes to Bob Denver's Dusty's Trail, a western that was sort of a takeoff of Gilligan's Island. You know, I always find a lot of goofs revolving around clothing for some reason, like this one from the Andy Griffith Show. Now watch how unbelievably quick that Ron Howard is in this episode.
Uncle, I can play something already.
Some way between Andy and Aunt Bee and the piano, Opie changed shirts. How did he do that?
That's incredible!
Even the best shows can have the occasional goof. Mark McCain is hanging on a cliff when Michael Landon stops by and helps him back up. Now notice that Mark has lost his hat somewhere along the line, but it mysteriously pops back onto his head on the way back up. You take this scene where it looks like Lucas decided to put his jacket on to go inside. And in this episode, using stock footage makes it appear as though Lucas can't decide if he wants to wear short sleeves or long sleeves when he's riding his horse. Here's a quick goof from Jingle All the Way from my Christmas video I've done recently.
Hey buddy, how are you?
Here's a little bit of a magic trick. First, Arnold reaches in to pet the deer. He's got a glove on. Then the deer tries to bite his hand. There's no glove. He pulls back the hand and he's got a glove on again.
How touching.
I discovered something the $6 Million Man and Wonder Woman have in common. They both apparently have the power to instantly grow flippers once they hit the water. In the episode, Cleaning Up Beaver, June says goodnight to Beaver and walks downstairs wearing something totally different. I kind of doubt that Mrs. Cleaver could have changed clothes that fast. You know, the fact that they reused footage so often explains why Clark's hat was always appearing and disappearing at will.
Great Caesar's ghost! Is everybody around here gone crazy?
Sometimes Superman's S would appear backwards because they would flip the shots in order to save money shooting Reeves flying the other direction. You know, you would think that cartoons like the Flintstones would be immune to wardrobe problems, but you'd be wrong.
Mr. Flintstone, Mr. Flintstone,
Check out Fred's hat. It literally disappears right in front of our very eyes.
That's incredible!
In the episode Ed the Donkey, Wilbur and Ed are lost. Now take note of the light-colored shirt that Wilbur has on. Suddenly Wilbur is knocked off Ed onto a limb and he's changed clothes.
Ed, I told you to be careful of these low-hanging branches.
Besides the weird shirt thing, where exactly was that limb that Wilbur supposedly got hung up on? Now let's look at animal goofs, including fakes like this bull in Knight Rider. Or this fake and real bull combo on the TV Western Briscoe County Jr. in the 90s.
It's certainly a lot of bull.
Why blow up about it?
Of course, one of my favorite animals to see on TV is a horse. Of course.
And no one can talk to a horse, of course.
On the 1960s series Mr. Ed, they used thin strings attached to Ed for tricks and getting him to talk. Star Alan Young told different stories at different times about how it was done. I bet that they may have just tugged on the strings to clue Ed in on what tricks to do next in place of verbal cues. Sometimes you can see these strings pop up here and there on the show. Strings came in handy for helping Ed catch a newspaper thrown by Lassie's John Provost, who had just recently ended his run on Lassie. Now this string was very noticeable.
3, 4. Ouch.
On the episode, Ed the Jumper, it appears as though Ed accidentally hits himself in the head while lifting weights. They cover it up by having Alan Lane voice in Al. Of course, I can't prove this wasn't intentional. Now, one thing you have to appreciate is the fact that Mr. Ed was a real horse, unlike a couple of scenes of this racehorse on the McHale's Navy movie of 1964. But the really bad fake horse comes when Fuji is racing. Now that's a fake horse. The way the horse's nose is shining, it appears to be made out of plastic.
Cut that out.
Now here's one from The Adventures of Superman. And no, that's not Francis the Talking Mule.
Did those other 2 Americans take them away?
On the episode, The Brainy Burro, they try to convince us a burro can read minds and answer Superman's questions. But I think Superman was playing a joke on us, as you can see Reeves' arms move along with the burro as he supposedly nods. You know, I found a lot of fake bears on classic TV this last year, even on Bonanza. In this episode, it looks like Haas is about to take on a man in a bear suit, and I'd hate to be that man. You know, I think they actually traded out Haas for a bear trainer and a real bear at one point. On some shows, like Bob Denver's Dusty's Trail, men dressed up in bear and ape suits were so noticeable they just had to be part of the joke, I guess.
Understand?
Yeah, now that you've explained it.
Of course, fake bears showed up a lot on the 70s on Saturday mornings, like this next one from ISIS. On the episode, Rockhound's Roost, the bear looks very strange. Very strange. I guess they didn't have time to get a real bear like they did the year before on Shazam.
Thank goodness.
And you know, I think that bear was drunk. How dry I am. Speaking of fake animals, they did the old man in the ape suit for the episode The Show Off, which was probably better than the bear. About the same time, Wonder Woman had her own ape confrontation in the episode Wonder Woman vs. Gargantua. Here's a very scary giant jellyfish from the TV series Man from Atlantis back in the 70s, which was a favorite superhero show of mine back in the day. This is clearly a giant balloon, though. Have you ever played Find the Stuntman?
Well played. Yeah.
I think I found one. That's totally not Data. Of course, maybe Data has a special action mode where his facial features change just a little bit. Wonder Woman sends this Darth Vader mutant look-alike over a railing right into what is probably a stuntman's airbag. I guess even supervillains like to be safe, especially when up against Wonder Woman. The most obvious stuntman appearance I found this year was this man who took the place of Tim Conway doing a Tarzan routine on McHale's Navy. No, he really doesn't look like Tim Conway, unless maybe they let him sit around for a year or so and maybe ate lots of ice cream or something, I don't know. If you'd like more details from these shows, be sure to check out the other videos on the TV Crazy Man channel for lots of fun facts and goofs, and please don't forget to like and comment. Plus, I found some new goofs from the series.
He can say that again, right, Mr. Kent?
What's wrong with him?
I don't know. Whatever it is, it seems pretty serious.
TV Crazy Man here. Today we're talking about classic TV westerns with goofs and bloopers from TV Crazy Man here. We're going to go back to the Old West to talk about Damn. Well, okay, Pilgrim. This is TV Crazy Man here, going back to the Old West.
Plenty strange.
With classic TV shows like Gunsmoke and Bonanza and Rawhide. No, not Rawhide. Never mind. Special effects that were created in the created process. And TV Crazy Man, possibly new things that you may not have seen before from the Adventures of Superman. How many times should I say Adventures of Superman?
What have I done to deserve you?
Plus, along the way, I found some more fun goofs from the show that I think you'll find interesting. So hang on, Superman fans, for a fun ride and possibly some new discoveries that you may not have seen before. TV Crazy Man here. In this video we explored a very trivia from Gunsmoke and Maverick and Bonanza. Hang on to your hats, partners, and your horses. So hang on to your horses, because it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you if you have. Did again. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thanks so much, and hit the bell for future notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Hit like and comment. Let me know what you thought of this video. And don't forget to check out all the other videos we have on classic television.
You were so close.
Good devil. Feel it's my duty not only to catch him, but with all the medical know-how at our command, to help that sorry creature back to a normal way of life.